As of Tuesday morning, 5 New England Patriots have opted out of the 2020 season. I'm Sierra Goodwill here with Evan Lazar. One that hits the hardest is Dont'a Hightower, because him opting out is essentially a complete overhaul of the linebacking group from last season. The boogeymen, all of them are gone, but Hightower did welcome a newborn child into the world 2 weeks ago, has a mother with health issues. So you understand why he made this decision, but what does it mean for the Patriots?
Well, Sarah, I think you summed it up perfectly there about how this is a complete overhaul now of the boogeymen that we saw last year. And we talked a lot about replacing Kyle Van Noy and Jamie Collins and how those two guys walking out the door left with a lot of pressure on the quarterback, plays behind the line of scrimmage, those splash plays defensively that really make an impact for your defense. Well, Hightower was at least still here, right? And he was the guy that could fill those shoes. And the Patriots this offseason have lost more off this defense than a lot of defenses have over the last 2 decades. And now you add Hightower on top of that, and it just looks like the Patriots are truly lacking a blue chip impact defender now in that front seven with all of these guys gone. So the good news, or the silver lining, I should say, is the cap space savings, obviously, from Hightower's deal and Cannon's deal, who we'll get to in another video. The Patriots have over $24 million in cap space now. We can talk about some candidates that they might go out of house to go in and replace Hightower. But mainly, I think the biggest thing is that playmaking ability, those splash plays, tackles for losses, sacks, pressures on the quarterback. That's what those three guys did. And now the Patriots are really lacking in those three areas.
Well, I think it's fair to say the Patriots aren't going to have a complete makeup for Hightower's talent and also his leadership in the locker room, defensive captain, the way he kind of commands attention and respect in that locker room. But there's got to be someone to fill his role. Do you think it comes from in-house, or did the Patriots need to go and make a move?
Well, I think the Patriots, if they want to really get this defense anywhere close to where it was last year, are going to need to make a move to get an impact player at that position who can really replace some of this production lost. I mean, this is some unprecedented level of production lost by this defense. And what they're really trying to do moving forward is going to have a big impact on if they can find somebody to bring in that can really make that jump and make that leap for them. But looking at their in-house candidates, really it kind of comes down to Josh Uche and Freddie Jennings sort of growing up pretty fast here in an abbreviated training camp. Those two guys do have the ability. Jennings more as an edge setter, run stuffing type linebacker, and Uche as more that pass rushing specialist. But both of those guys can kind of combine into one Dont'a Hightower, if you will. So they could go that route. They could stay in-house. They have Brandon Copeland still. I'm writing about Derek Rivers as a possibility. He's still sticking around. Maybe he can kind of carve out a role now that they have so many free spots. But you look at some of the free agents still available, there are some names on this market and trade targets that are very enticing. Jadeveon Clowney is the big one, obviously, and I've talked about it a lot already. Now it makes even more sense to bring in Clowney, who is a lot like Hightower in that he's more of a game wrecker and disruptor than he is a guy that actually shows up on the stat sheet every single week on the box score. So you kind of have to watch the tape to truly understand his impact. So he's kind of like a Hightower, a versatile player that can play in different spots on the line of scrimmage and impact both the run and the pass. The other sexy name that I was going to throw out there too is Yannick Ngakoue, who's on a 1-year franchise tag with the Jaguars and has requested a trade. He wants a new contract. The Patriots aren't going to give it to him. But back in the 2016 draft, the Patriots actually picked Cyrus Jones 9 spots ahead of Yannick Ngakoue, and that was a big oversight, something that I think that they still regret to this day big time, as I know that they did their homework on Ngakoue, and Nick Caserio himself was actually down there at Ngakoue's pro day working him out hands-on, and there was a player that they really, really liked in the draft, and they just liked Cyrus Jones just a little bit more, and they went that direction instead. Now, if you want to go bargain hunting with me, veteran signings to the minimum, that much more like Bill Belichick style, I think Marcus Golden from the Giants last year, is currently a free agent, is that perfect edge-setting run stuffer. He ranked 4th among all edge defenders and run stops last year. Not much of a pass rusher. He did have 10 sacks, but those were inflated numbers. But really, he's kind of that prototypical, do your job, fundamentally sound type player. So there are some options in free agency. I didn't even talk about Everson Griffin, Nigel Bradham, Jaron Lee. I mean, there's some names out there. The question is how much is Bill Belichick willing to spend?
Well, Patriots fans hoping more dominoes won't fall after the 5 players that already opted out. And we've heard from the McCourty twins recently about their concerns about the upcoming season. So definitely questions surrounding them and their willingness to participate if their questions aren't answered. So we'll keep you updated. But this segment has been brought to you by Masterclass. Get unlimited access to every Masterclass. For being a Patriots Pass listener, you get 15% off the annual All Access Pass. Just go to masterclass.com/CLNS for all of our content. Find it on our website at clnsmedia.com and on our YouTube channel at Patriots Press Pass.